Hey, good morning. Welcome, everybody. This is the Scio Township Election Commission meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 10:11 a.m. First, we'll start with a roll call. I'm Jessica Flintoff, Scio Township Clerk here. Supervisor Hathaway.
Present.
And Treasurer Palmer is absent, but we have quorum, so we will proceed. I'd also like to take the opportunity for people to go around and introduce themselves. Those at the table, Newton.
I'm Nithin Nathwani and I'm a Scio resident helping with the elections.
I'm Barbara Collegia. I am the deputy clerk here at Scio.
I'm Mary Brennan. I'm an observer with the League of Women Voters, and I'm also a Scio Township resident.
And Kathy Fitzgerald, League of Women Voters Observer.
Emily Tarama, League of Women Voters Observer.
Wonderful. We love the league. Thank you for being here. Will, we have a proposed agenda before us. Do you have any suggested changes?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Support, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comment. This is the time for members of the public to speak for up to 5 minutes on any matter under the purview of the Election Commission. Any members of the public present have any comment? Anybody on Zoom? If so, please raise your Zoom hand. Okay, seeing none, no public comment. Next up, E1, approval of the minutes, minutes of our last meeting, which was August 29th. That's when we took action to establish 4 absent voter counting boards.
I would move approval of the minutes of the August 29th meeting as proposed.
Support, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Minutes adopted, 2-0. New business, a resolution to appoint inspectors for the November 5th state general election. I've distributed hard copies here, Will, and I'll take a minute for you to read them. And I can also kind of describe the approach we took. So, the resolution does 2 things. It appoints inspectors for our precincts, for our AV count boards, and also for our receiving boards. So at Scio Township, we have two-person team receiving boards at the end of the night, a Dem and a Republican on each. And so there's 4 people proposed here. And I'm happy to hand these out. Just ask that you hand them back at the end of the meeting. These names, please. So 2 receiving boards, and then the next thicker packet has the AVCB, that's the absent voter counting board. We have 5 of them. They each count their corresponding precincts. So for example, AVCB 1 will count all the ballots in precinct 1, so on and so forth. We use this space for all 5 of the AV count boards, which works really well, so they can work together. We typically have 4-member teams of the AV count board. I've assigned 5, just in case there are any absences, and also it'll be a particularly long day, so it's not really that we would probably have more than 4 people working at a time, but we'd probably always have 1 on break. We do all the counting on election day. We don't do any pre-processing here.
So are you looking for a motion to adopt the appointments or the adopt the resolution?
Yes,
making
please.
appointments? So moved.
Support, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, resolution adopted 2-0. Great, thank you. And I did also assign a few extra people to each of the precincts. At the one location where we'll have 2 precincts, WISD will also have 1 greeter. We'll use the greeter app to help direct people in case they are for any line of movement. Okay, next up is the main event, which is our public accuracy test. All right, so this is a requirement, but also a great chance for people to really kind of take a look at the equipment, see how it's done. We have both the tabulator set up to demonstrate that the programming is correct and will produce accurate results on November 5th. All of our equipment has been tested similarly. To the right of the tabulator, we have a VAT, a voter assist terminal, which is available in every clerk's office and at every precinct place, including on early voting days for voters with certain disabilities. It can assist them in actually producing a ballot that can then be tabulated there. And so with that, I think we'll turn our attention and get started.
Okay. You're welcome to come gather around if you want, and we'll have you put through the ballots again. So this is what the tabulator looks like on election morning. You'll see that the ballots are at 0. That's just a lifetime count of how many ballots are there, but we want it at 0. And it comes up and they print a 0 report to get the polls opened. They'll print the 0 report listing all the candidates and showing them with no votes.
And also at the beginning of the day, we also make sure there's physically no votes.
Yeah. Check, and they check the bag, they have a checklist that they go by, opening the polls, and they'll check it all out, make sure.
It
there's no
always
bag.
reminds me of like a magician showing the.
Yeah, there's nothing in the box.
That's really true. And then there's unique seals put on all 3 openings to the ballot box that are not removed until the end of the day, and all of those seals are documented at the end of the night in the poll book.
And this is also sealed, that's where the B drive that holds the election is in that. Tim and I tested, we placed it in there, get it at 0, and then it's sealed up, and that seal number is recorded. And so when they come in on election morning, they will have it recorded in their poll book that they have, that this seal number is on it. It'll be a different one after this test, because we'll have to clear the ballots and reseal it. But they will verify that that seal number has not changed.
And this procedure that Barb's describing here is exactly the same for early voting, all 9 days, as it is for election day voting.
We'll just put it like that.
And so it's repeated at every precinct?
Yes, so
We're gonna
every
open the polls.
precinct in Washtenaw County, including the precincts set up for early voting, operate just like this. Each precinct has 1 tabulator.
Now it's opening the polls for them.
Similarly, the AV count board, each AV count board, each of the 5 will have 1 of these, right? So they're actually a team working with all the absentee ballots from precinct 1, tabulating on 1 tabulator dedicated for that purpose.
Okay, and it's ready for use now. So we can start feeding in. So the test stack we explained in August, there's a predetermined election, basically. And then the ballots are marked according to that test stack, testing the ballot in any possible way that it can be tested. Overvotes, undervoting, blank ballots, stray marks, and then it's
Different district.
yeah, different precinct ballot. So, and then once we close the polls and run the tape, we want the tape numbers to match that predetermined test stack, okay?
And Barb, can I just chime in one quick thing?
Yeah.
So you all may remember seeing sample ballots in your polling place or at your clerk's office or online at MVIC, right? And so this shows what the races should be. So that tape shows the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's so long, right?
yeah.
You wanna start, you guys, I know you like to
Yes.
do this,
Oh.
so.
And it,
Oh, boy.
You and I have done it
So many
so
times.
many times.
I never.
Okay, so this is, clocks, we changed the clocks back as well.
Yeah, the clock
Okay.
is set because we're gonna fall back.
yeah, it'll be
So
after,
Okay.
we got them all set, so it'll be good for election day.
because it won't work if it's not yet election day. Henriette, would you
I'm just
be
gonna
so
take-
kind for the
Yeah.
people at home who are watching? Would you mind just sort of describing what
Big
you're
ones,
seeing on that
yes.
ballot before you cast it?
Yes, I see a very heavily overvoted ballot.
I think you can take a picture.
I'm just thinking of like a newsletter or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, yes.
So that should
Yeah.
come back out
Yep.
with the
explanation.
with the
On
explanation,
the screen,
yes.
it's telling you all the, that it's got two.
Yeah, Henriette,
Too many
we're-
choices are on,
Yes.
all right?
Yes.
And so the voter would have the option to take their ballot back. They would spoil their ballot number out and reissue them a fresh ballot.
Mhm.
For the sake of this, we're just gonna pass the ballot as is.
So the second one is a ballot with stray marks.
Yeah, and on the back, you'll see that big stray mark.
Yes.
It's trying to read all,
Yeah, but
it won't,
it won't count, right?
that's right. It's our expert.
Right. And you'll see on the counter there. Yep.
So
No
Which is
choices.
on the ballot, yeah.
And no choices, and it didn't pick up any stray marks, because it didn't target through any, it doesn't target through any of the boxes.
So when people call and say, hey, I colored on the side here, or I wrote in here, it doesn't matter. It's not in a target box. That's why we test for the stray mark.
So this is a blank ballot.
And then Henriette, what would you like to do? Yep, and that's what the voter will actually do.
So it will accept a blank ballot? I mean, if you
Every
choose
once in
it.
a while, people choose to do that in the polls. Some people do that to make a statement. In the polls, they have the option to, make that choice. If you were to cast a blank ballot in the absentee vote and count board, we would just cast the blank ballot.
And it logs them as voting
As a-
in that
Yeah.
election, so it keeps them,
Uh-huh.
you know,
And
Showing
then
as
for each
voting,
race,
so,
it would
yeah.
be, undervoted by one.
So this has one square marked at the straight party ticket, so it marked one party and nothing else on the ballot.
so it's letting you know we have a 2-page ballot, and you didn't make any choices on the back, which is nice. So what do you want to do?
In the precinct on election day, I have the choice to go back, but
Yes.
for this test, of course.
Thank you.
It's helpful to talk through it, just so like people understand, yeah.
it's a nice feature though, it's letting. the
That is
voter
nice,
Yeah,
yeah,
know,
because
make
some
sure
people,
Sure you don't want to.
yeah,
Yep.
that's where all the millage questions are.
So.
And the nonpartisan, yep.
Yes, so this has, with a straight party ticket, you're supposed to mark one. This has two squares darkened
Mhm.
at the straight party ticket, so that should not,
I'll spit that
that
back
come,
out.
yes. Yeah, and a blank page, so,
It's a 2-for-1.
yes. And of course,
And so again, that will be the voter voted, nothing counted.
yes. Okay, this has, no, I think this seems like a correctly voted ballot. With some.
You can put it
races-
in, and you also can put them in upside down and backwards.
Okay, I will do that next
Yeah.
time, yes.
Crooked, it will spit them out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Upside
yeah,
down and
wow.
backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
You
Didn't
called
come
that
out,
one,
yeah.
right?
so this is also, no, this is overvoted in the nonpartisan section, definitely. Let's see, and I wanted to put one upside down. Yep, too many choices, yeah.
Yep.
So it says that you made too many choices on the justice of the Supreme Court, so it actually calls out the race where you've made the mistake.
It's also helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yep,
that is a just great machine.
Yeah.
That's that.
we've had
These
these,
are replacing like all the ones that look like printers that we used to feed our things
Yeah.
into and didn't get any response to tell you.
Yeah,
so we've had these, we bought these in 2017 countywide, so since 2018, we've been using them.
Really?
Yep,
Maybe I've been voting
Voting
absentee that
absentee.
long.
Yeah.
With COVID and everything.
you and most everybody.
So this is overvoted.
yes.
You
Tell
hope.
people how much fun it is to use these machines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can make a
Yeah.
mistake, they can add, do it over.
Well, that's what you
And
wonder. You have to
Cast this in.
Look at it,
Yeah.
make sure
That
you.
you-
My
trip
God,
it.
yes.
You have another stack to go through too, because there's a
Yeah.
split in this precinct. So there's a straight house split, 347 and 348. So we're
Okay.
testing two batches in the
Right.
one tabulator.
So that's called two different ballot styles, like when we have a split on a school district, house, whatever.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this looks overvoted. Yes, too
Yeah.
many choices.
And so they've overvoted on president. And you can even read more, overvoted on senator, rep in Congress, rep, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a long list. If you really want to read everything before you
Yeah.
pull your ballot out.
Try again.
So this is a blank page, but it's correctly voted. Nope, overvoted on one.
She's good.
I know.
Yeah.
I-
Jimmy, you're smart.
I just,
It's good. The other good thing about this deck that Barb and you times have carefully prepared. Oh, let's see, what's this?
straight party ticket, too many choices.
Mhm.
Anything else? Yep. Senator and a blank page on the back, but again, for this test.
So to create the test deck, we use a different vendor than the vendor who produces our ballots on election day. That's a
Okay.
requirement. Also, Barb and Newton added in ballots that were printed by our VAT to test those. Switched out a few, as well as some that the county test printed on the
Early voting.
ballot on demand printers, which are available only at early voting, so that we're testing every type of ballot that might be produced.
Yeah.
People may also submit their absentee ballot, cast their absentee ballots on election day or early voting themselves.
Yeah, feed it. That's what I
Yeah.
was gonna ask.
So we test kind
Like
of four
it-
different types of.
So this is correctly voted, but has a blank page.
Yeah, or does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
read anyway.
Mhm.
And this seems correctly voted with a blank page, and I'm gonna
Try it
put
back.
it, yes. So partially voted, but correct. Whoops, yeah. Upside down. Put it in a crooked way. so-
Yeah, it might spit it out when I
Yeah.
click it in and I'll say it can't read the barcode. So we just take it out. If it jams it, it's gonna let us know it jammed it. Or this ballot is only counted
How
once.
far do you have to open it up if it jams? Just like this section?
You just pull it out.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
We
Like the
typically
old
never
print
have to
thing.
open it up
Yeah,
during
that's
election
what I
day.
wondered.
Yeah.
that It just kind of, all right.
They rarely jam
They're great.
unless someone's really starting to fight with it.
They're also lovingly maintained, which is why they don't jam.
Yeah, Newton and I took alcohol wipes and
Very,
did all the screens and then we lifted these up and then did the printing surfaces. We cleaned them all down.
Do you clean during election day?
They did during COVID.
Yeah,
They-
but that was just for the concern of COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Functionality.
Put on the back of it.
And then also, you know, Hart, which is the vendor that the county has, we also all have maintenance agreements that we have. So have a.
Where's choice?
I think we have like
Where's
seven
that?
or eight.
Right, I did not.
We still provide like,
Still on these, even though you mark that you're just voting.
Yeah, we don't wanna forget
straight
that one.
party,
Yeah.
You still have to mark.
Yeah.
them.
excuse me?
If
Yeah,
They
and I
just
do have
checked
our
up
election
here and
inspectors.
didn't mark anything else, would it
So-
go through that?
So-
way?
People are calling a lot
Yeah.
They pick straight party ticket and then they're going back through and doing their choices and it will tabulate them correctly.
But you don't
You
have
don't
to.
have to,
Yeah,
no, but some
yeah.
people, that we're
'Cause it
getting a lot
doesn't
of
say
calls on
stop.
it, yeah. Yeah, and it only gives them one vote.
Yeah.
It tabulates them correctly.
But if so, if you put, well,
Yeah.
this one Democratic Party, you could still go down and
And
select
do it,
every
yeah.
And you
Democrat.
also can cross over.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go straight party in one party and you liked someone else in another
One
party.
Republican.
Yeah, you
okay.
can go over and it's
It's
like,
okay.
not in the primary where you couldn't cross over, you can cross over, it will pick up your vote.
Even though you say, I'm
Even though you
voting
say
straight
three
Yeah,
party.
it'll pick that up
That's
for you.
confusing,
Yeah.
but
It's
That's
kind of
nice,
like the
though.
rule, and then you can have exception.
Okay.
Interesting.
And you can also vote not crossing, not
Another blank page.
voting anything here, but then you're individual.
Correct.
Right,
Yes,
you can
yes,
go down and
yes,
yeah.
everyone, but.
Yep.
Yeah, but we get a lot of questions about that.
So if I were to, I mean, this
Yeah.
one is a Democratic Party, but then
Yeah.
I,
Spit it out.
did the Trump, it
Selected
would.
Trump, it would select Trump.
It would, okay. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
But it's a general election, so this isn't part, select who you want.
Right, okay.
So it doesn't tell you, but
This
does it
aspect, they
override
find
with
really
this? So it gives you
helps more
those?
people vote.
They didn't vote those.
Oh,
know,
so they don't
it
have to make
goes
so many
up to
choices.
the part- it
Yeah,
has the
for
partisan
people who
section.
just feel
The
more
straight
aligned with one
ticket,
party.
then
Yeah.
they have to go in
Yeah.
and vote on
That's
the
what you go,
nonpartisan
okay.
and
And
the
the bad,
villages.
Right.
And this is telling you you
What's a
didn't
fight
vote
over
your
there,
back.
too?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what-
You did
what
not
they're-
mark choices
Well,
on
they
one
could
side
do
of the
that.
ballot.
There were
Both
people-
sides could be in contest, you
Yeah.
can vote on.
So
So
that's a, yeah. just go
Yeah.
back and look at
Yeah,
both sides.
yeah,
That's
That's
fine.
good, too.
yeah.
It makes it easy.
Yeah.
For us.
Trying to make it harder.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder who that could have been.
Let it go. Make everything really hard.
Not pointing fingers.
No, yeah,
So,
nothing
Not-
over there. Nope.
Haven't done anything there either.
I bet a lot of
Yeah.
people though just don't vote on the millages and things, do they? We come in and vote for
Yeah.
president and stop.
Well, after election day, when everything's all canvassed, there are reports at the very granular level you can get about which races were undervoted. People actually voted on a particular candidate. Or
that-
even for
Again,
something
a lot
that
of
says
not
they
many
vote for not
people
more than
there.
4,
They
okay?
did
How many
still
people
vote
So it'll
voted
go
for
for-
only
Yeah.
1 or 2?
Even if they.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
just
actually
mark
done
one.
that
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
because you don't, might
And
not
again,
know,
go
all.
back.
You know a couple, but you might not know
Or
4
if you
and.
want to make your vote count more, you undervote. Like, you could vote. It's more weight
Like
on
that
the
one,
people that you
both
are voting
sides
for.
again, the
Yeah.
same.
Right.
We're pretty smart, huh? Well, I've never.
Yeah.
heard these words in the last
I guess.
year.
Oh.
Naturally,
Yeah.
I heard it.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
they missed all of the.
Yeah.
And nothing on the back
Nothing,
again.
yeah. Tabulator, or you could do it upside down.
We use one.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
just
and
right.
it's
just-
all so we're part of the countywide coordinated effort. So for here, we'll have the same 5 jurisdictions voting here for the 9 days with one tabulator.
Same
Okay,
thing.
so the only difference is how we program it.
Democratic,
program it
and
to
we did
exact
that down here.
hybrid
Nothing, no
ballot.
blank, so.
No, that's, that's, and they voted here too.
Yeah, so
On
this
the village
There's a lot.
So we're gonna get.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
there's
you know,
something.
we had tables back there when we had to go to the hard. There was quite a bit. You could be up to 40, yeah.
So that's why the county has deployed the ballot on demand printers.
Oh,
So what those are is we don't have
Yeah,
paper ballots.
maybe because they.
To hand out at the early voting sites. We don't have pre-printed
Yeah.
paper ballot.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
have
all right, then.
All right.
ballots that are printed, you come in, Scio, precinct 1, print,
Excuse me.
just like the VAT.
Kind of like the
ballots.
bat.
Yeah. It's a very similar technology.
And
Oh, mine are.
Where they're all gonna go through.
Yeah.
These were the.
Those are the voters who read, yours are the voters who read the
Instructions.
instructions, yeah.
Yeah.
Presentation that Larry Kestenbaum gave and in the course of it, he made this sort of aside complaint about wordy ballot proposals.
Yeah, yeah.
Just trying to fit them all on the ballot.
Yeah, the county I think corporation council for the county has gotten wordy the last couple elections with that
Well,
proposal.
yeah, what the hell
Yeah.
some of those are.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't such
Webster
legal
ended up
aids
with a
to-
two-page ballot for one
Oh.
of their smaller school districts. So, and it would affect here at early voting, so for each voter on the tabulator, it's gonna take that count up two. So you've
Oh,
gotta
two
keep the math,
pages.
because you're trying to compare, you've gotta keep the, what's on the, you know, your laptop or your VOD counter. It needs to match what's on your tab.
Right.
But your first check.
And the tabulator though, does so report the number of ballots and the number of sheets. Which is
The
still gonna
ballots.
be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But in this instance where we have a one-page ballot, we've got, 30 ballots and 30
The
sheets.
same.
If we had a two-page ballot, obviously it'd be 30
Yeah,
and 60.
60, yeah. One
Yeah.
more thing to think about at 10 o'clock at night, huh? That would be the hard
Yeah.
part.
Instruct your election inspectors, explain the ballot to that sit on the ballot position.
The only instruction, and we're gonna write this up to make sure it's standard, is at the first station. So like when you walk in and you fill out your application to vote, right? And then we'll have the sample ballot right there. During the August primary, we did tell everybody, no, you cannot cross over because that's such a common thing. Here, I don't know that we give any instruction. I don't think so with a straight.
I think the
ticket.
most it would be, it's a two-sided ballot.
Ballot. Okay,
But if you're gonna give
ballot.
instruction, you need to give the same instruction to every single voter.
And we give all of the standard instruction here.
So they can read why they are in the voting booth, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And for people who have voted their absentee ballot, they'll come in and get this, bring in their absentee ballot. We'll check it in, and they can actually put in their pre-filled absentee ballot into it.
So when they're feeding these in, they'll actually be using.
Yeah. Which is hard.
It's harder. Yeah, they've gotta really make sure they get a good header out of it, where it starts.
And
You'll hear it, you can hear it across the room. like,
And you'll notice all of these test ballots already have the stub on top taken off.
Yeah.
But as you remember, somebody would take the stub off at the very last, after you filled it out, then you go to the last station, they take the stub off, put it in here, or take the stub from you, and then you cast it without the stub. And that's because the stub has the unique ballot number on it, connecting the votes to the person. We remove that so that people's right to a secret ballot is ensured.
But that's how you prove that people only vote one time. I mean, do they hang on to them?
So, I don't feel like we need to prove people vote one time because they do, and that is one of the many ways.
I mean, just
Yeah, for
with
sure.
all the stuff floating around.
So yeah, so we have a lot of ways to,
Yeah.
to verify people vote once. So, one is that we have a list of registered voters.
Right, you're sort of checked off as you come through.
Right, and they're checked off as they come through, starting,
Party.
hey, Mary,
Directly marked.
starting 45 days before, as soon as we have the absentee ballot available. We are tracking if somebody is a registered voter. If they move out of our jurisdiction, they're no longer our voter. If we've issued them an absentee ballot, if they've returned it or not, and they move, it gets rejected before election day. If they've passed away, usually if they've moved or passed away. So there's a lot of absentee ballots that we take out, but certainly if somebody moves, we reject their ballot.
That against like a database of your running.
Oh, so we have a qualified voter file, which is basically like a list of registered voters that of ours that talks statewide. So it's a great system.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, it's linked to the Secretary of State's driver's license file. So we're updating that data every single day. Every
That's why
day.
you put all that stuff when you register to vote.
But in or outside of, all year long, there's daily work happening to keep the voter rolls up to date, not just during the meeting.
Supposed to be a huge.
Yeah, it comes in our inbox when someone moves out and they leave the ballot. It'll list the move and then it lists their ballot number, and it's rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like when you go.
It's
change
already
your
done.
driver's
Yeah, it's
license
already
and
done
get
by
your
the
new
state.
address,
Yeah.
so it file.
Right.
Wow, now it's
from
with
that.
Right.
Right.
The law is, right,
That's
and you
fine.
can register up until 8 p.m. on election day, which is wonderful, and you can vote as long as you've been a resident for at least 30 days. And so,
Correct.
you know, so we're constantly updating that in real time, including all the way through early voting. So we have a
Yes.
different type of poll book available on early voting, where we have real-time information of this person just turned in their absentee ballot. They show up to early voting, they can vote.
It's basically
We see in real time.
numbers
Sorry,
match
you already-
that sheet,
I'm
right?
not the number.
Yeah.
If you wrote certain.
So there was I mean, there's a case right now in Livingston County, I think, where the.
Yeah, so St. Clair Shore, we read about that with interest last week. And just based on the press release, is all I know. about it.
Yeah.
It seems that, I see how that could have happened, but not without a bad actor.
Together,
Somebody
yes.
let it, I mean,
Again.
not that you know.
divided.
No, but
Really,
so
somebody-
they
Yes.
explained like the
That way.
operationally what happened and it would.
like, there is a
involve that.
process that shows you, what you were just explaining, if somebody has already filed or has an absentee ballot or
Oh,
turned in.
absolutely. So all of that information is available at the polls and at the clerk's office. And then on election day, our phone is just blowing up because we're just always verifying the information with the citizen care before somebody's issued a ballot.
We download the election at 4 o'clock the day before. So all that information downloads into, Jessica's downloading election into the,
Called the electronic poll book. It's just that little laptop people are checking. in on.
Oh, yeah.
so if you have an absentee ballot issued,
shows
it's
up.
all showing up there. So when you go to check it in the polls, there'll be a red banner across this, when you've been issued a ballot, they have the ballot number, and they have that it's not received. They do have if it's been received. So if the person shows up at the polls, it's best if they take their absentee ballot if they want to vote person, and they surrender it. And they open it up, they look at this stuff, because it tells the number in the poll book they have, and they match that they have 135 and 135. They brought in the correct
Okay.
ballot. So then they surrender it, they take that ballot from them and allow them to vote. They can give your new. If they didn't bring their ballot, then they need to fill out a request form, but they call into us, we go into the file and verify that they have not received their, we have not received their ballot back, you can issue them a ballot.
And then
That goes
we,
on all day long.
and then we
Yeah.
reject in the system then that
Yeah.
outstanding
That I
absentee
have
ballot
to
which is floating around.
Yeah.
We then reject
And
it.
it's picked
So
up.
that benefit
Yeah.
pops up later in, like, in 2 hours, somebody turns it in, we don't check it in.
Yeah.
Because also with the absentee ballot
Voters
process,
55, right?
when we're
Yes.
checking them in, we're not just verifying, you know, verify the
Yeah.
signature,
And
check it
that
in.
says
and see that on
55.
there.
You'll see this one will
But,
get counted.
we're always, we periodically audit those too. I mean, there's
A lot.
A lot of different ways.
Yeah.
a lot.
That's
And
a
then
ballot
also
for
I
different
probably have
precincts.
the absentee ballot.
Now we got another stack to do.
55? Yes.
So that was a ballot from another
Yes.
precinct, so it won't, this tabulator for precinct
Oh,
3 will
okay.
not take a ballot from another precinct.
Okay.
And that control is important because people on election day are allowed to vote in person only at their precinct.
You ready? You want to keep going?
We did a bunch of.
We've done it.
Okay.
A long
Yes.
time.
Yes. Thank you. And that's now for different.
Have to move to
Oh,
the other
because of the
position.
House split. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the house split, so this is a different
Yeah.
ballot style in that precinct.
Yeah.
Okay, am I first?
Doesn't
Go
matter.
ahead, yeah, she probably might need
Yeah.
a break.
Yeah,
Oh, all right. Next.
So when the state did redistricting in 2022, is that where we were at?
Yeah.
You think?
I think
Yeah.
it came through on that
Yeah,
proposal, right?
we adjusted our precinct lines at that.
It's all overvoted
And
Just vote for
very
everything.
ambitious voter.
Yeah.
Can't make a
they
decision.
had
No.
assured us that they would keep the House
I don't know
district
what
aligned
line.
with town
Yeah.
line on this.
I like
two
everybody.
cornered, precinct 3
Or else the
This
kid
one,
got
so
a hold
there
of it
are,
and just
I
filled in
think,
all the
like
blanks,
12
right? And
voters.
I guess
Oh,
that doesn't
really?
happen. We don't
In
even
the
let the
separate
kids hardly
House
stand there when you vote
And
anymore.
because of
do
those
you?
12.
We let
Is that
we
allowed?
have a
The-
ballot.
Yeah,
You can
we
take
let-
your own children with?
Yes. Jennifer Conlon.
I let them take
And
their
then-
kids in there.
precinct one in the southeast quadrant.
An
has a
adult,
different-
taking another
um,
adult in, you would not allow unless they were. What is the
I'm
rules
sorry,
for so-
what?
allowing someone in the booth? We let kids go into the booth
Oh,
with their
so,
parents.
yeah, if a child wants to go in the booth with his parent, if somebody needs assistance that cannot be provided by an election inspector, and as long as that assistance is not being
Like valid.
provided by their union boss for their employer, they may go into assist.
Well, I used to assist when I was a kid. That's when they had the lever that you pulled across.
Oh, yeah.
So my mom would take me in and she would flip all the levers and choose who she was
That's really
voting for, and
fun.
then she'd have one of us kids pull the lever to actually pass the ballot.
That's really fun.
We're gonna see if blue ink works on this one.
Yeah.
Blue or black ink, yeah, and that's a ballot we replaced from the test deck with our ballot stock that we got.
Ah.
So we're just making sure the weight and the.
Doesn't
All the ballots
take
we
it
ship
at all.
out.
Didn't like it.
Before we start mailing out all the absentee ballots, we'll do a soft test on them, make sure the tabulators. Accepting the ballots.
Larry also talked about how you handle people who die after they cast their
Yep.
absentee ballot.
We
Oh,
did
what
that.
happens with that?
So when people pass away after they've cast their absentee ballot, as soon as we get reliable, information and upon belief, then we mark them as deceased. Or sometimes the county has marked them as deceased if they find out before we do. And then as soon as that happens, their ballot is automatically rejected in the system. And then we get pinged and we go and we physically remove their ballot from the stack of secure ballots to be counted on election day. So we have a whole, we've got all the ballots being counted on election day, and then we've got a box of ballots that have been what's called rejected because the person moved or passed away. Or spoiled. Those are all the ballots where people came in and said, hey, I made a mistake. Can I get a new
What
ballot?
does the actual
Of course.
machine do when
Well,
they
where did
mark
the
them
old
all
ballot
like
with a
that?
mistake
I mean, it
go?
wouldn't
That's
go
a
through
spoiled
an order.
ballot. And then the ballots that are surrendered,
Is it just not?
and that's when a
It won't
voter
count it.
comes in.
No. That's what this is showing, that it's not count, it only counts the
Whatever the case
legitimate
is.
vote.
Oh, this contest.
Surrender my ballot, because I'm not gonna
You
vote.
can go down through them all.
So
then,
those
like
are
you said,
surrendered
then.
ballots then.
Okay,
And Larry said
so you
the
can actually see that you
county
really
processes
did.
the death.
Yeah.
You missed.
Of them all, but we're
Yes.
just doing this one for convenience.
Sort of processed and conveyed, but one of the challenges for Washtenaw County is the hospitals. There's a lot of people dying here who don't
Exactly.
live in Washtenaw County, so they're actually,
And that's always been the case. So every month we'll get pinged by the county on everybody who passed away from Washington. The county hopefully kind of tries to find those that are residents. The Social Security Death Index speaks with the Secretary of State and through this qualified voter system. So this qualified voter file that the state has is really one of the best in the country. It's really well designed.
I think when you do this, I mean, it's like, you see how well run the voting process, you know, and.
It's well
that it-
designed.
Yeah, designed, and
Yeah.
it's really, I mean,
Yeah, more people
it covers all the
want.
bases.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of dispels any. concerns about-
Yeah, so in St. Clair Shores, I do not know anything
How they-
than what I read. But based on that press release, if I had to guess, if that's all true, here's how they would have done it. What they would have done is they had somebody who submitted an absentee ballot. It was checked in. It was ready to be counted. Then they showed up at an early voting site, but probably at the polls. And then on that day, the information they have is current as of 4 p.m. tonight, 4 p.m. Monday, but it's Tuesday. So there, it probably said the person, one of two things could have happened. It might have said the person has been issued an absentee ballot and they turned in an absentee ballot. That election inspector should have said, I'm sorry, you voted, go away.
Yeah.
They maybe it's something, but they couldn't have done something else without the clerk's watch. They would have had to call the clerk in the clerk's office would have had to go into the qualified voter file and say, and reject that ballot. Now, they maybe could have written it at the polling place, could have added it on the list they've had. The other thing that might have happened is they might have had an outstanding absentee ballot at the polling place, but not yet returned it. And the precinct worker legitimately said, that's okay, you know, maybe they called the clerk and the clerk said, yeah, they haven't turned it in. Go ahead and issue them a ballot. The clerk at that point should have said reject.
Yep.
Maybe the clerk didn't say reject. Maybe they issued them a ballot, and everything was kosher at the precinct. And then the ballot came in to the clerk's office. And maybe the clerk checked it in.
Yep, it could have,
They mailed it.
You won't be able to help, yeah.
From mailing.
Normally you just have one, right? So.
Well, we're checking it in every day by law.
No, but if it's still being mailed,
Oh.
it hasn't arrived yet.
It would have to, yeah, and it could, but only if, but then if it arrives after 8 PM, it's not gonna be checked in. But, you know, we'll get many hundred. We get many hundred absentee. ballots. But we meticulously account for every single.
right when we're on the phone, we go right in right then and reject it. Don't save it for later. And they could have dropped the ball. I mean, it could have been.
It could have been, but it should have been, but then the other check that would have happened, just to give you some assurance, then it's how we process our AV count votes. Because it's not just like we give people a box of ballots.
Yes, it's,
We have, you know, audited that batch of ballots 4 times probably before.
we're gonna probably
election
start
day.
doing our first audit right
Yeah.
now, because we're up to about
Yeah,
1,000
'cause
back.
we audit every day, right?
We make
But
sure our
then we go-
numbers are on.
I mean, there's no just stacks of things sitting around, so then.
But you
all
don't, oh,
audit
We
it,
don't just
but yeah.
throw them in the room at them.
And then there's a paper trail audit as well. So we have paper and the database. And then the ballots go back. Now, for all those kind of one-offs, those rejected ballots or things that should have been pulled out of the stack, there's reports that we're required to run in order to make sure that we're not delivering rejected ballots.
Mark on the back.
You
did it.
Come back out, right?
Yeah,
And
I
it's-
did.
So, multiple failures must have happened
Yep,
for that, multiple failures.
And it's
So-
just one extra vote, right?
They allegedly it's 4.
4,
4 people.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't read.
Not enough to make a difference, but, they caught it. And that's
that's the-
they got caught. Don't do it, because you will get caught.
Yeah. And
You're allowed
also-
one vote, you know, there's some onus on
And
this,
they
but
didn't
they caught
They
it.
didn't get caught by chance. Honestly, I don't know how they could have gotten caught. Like, when I think about all the canvas that happens,
Yeah,
like, once you would actually go back and like run those lists, it would be apparent. And,
yeah, because we turn in a voter list in the polls by person. And then the absentee ballots have a list we turn in by person
yeah, and then
and their ballot number.
and
They're all
everything
paired.
goes to the
Yeah.
canvassers, and then everything is then audited, and then even after the election, I even had an investigator from the Attorney General's office working with me one time, I don't know if it was after 2020. They're like, it was months after, and they were like, hey, we're investigating this case, you know, voter X, we think they may have voted twice. Wow. And we went through this whole thing, and they went through this whole investigation, about it. And we figured out what happened, and then the state corrected it. And it was, in fact, it seems, a voter who had gotten a ballot from Scio Township, also gotten a ballot from the city of Ann Arbor because she had moved after she had turned in her ballot, the situation I'm talking about.
Right.
And that they were so overwhelmed in 2020, it was on the city to notify me. And they hadn't notified me because they were overwhelmed. And so I didn't know pull it, and in fact, she did twice. Now, again, this person did so, it sounds like without any malintent. She just didn't understand that the system wouldn't know to cancel that one. And it was after that case that the qualified voter file was refined to automatically reject those ballots.
Yep.
So, yeah, so it was. I mean, certainly, humans make errors, we all do on occasion, but the system's really well designed.
It's a category of crime where you're almost certain to be caught because your name is attached. There's evidence and your name is attached to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, so you all know, like all of us who, there's, certainly QBF is a very secure system. We're all trained. I authorize anybody who have certain permissions doing it. And of course, every activity we have is also logged. Anything I do has my name attached to it too. So,
And this training.
yeah.
Like those, the people who figured out that they could game and scam the gas station pump by shooting that through
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Yeah.
The
Oh, I
problem
didn't even
was
know.
that-
I didn't know that.
That it
Let's
was
go
their
get some of those printed.
Yeah, the problem was the machine was also capturing their identity. on
Yeah,
the machine
right,
ID,
yeah.
So they got eventually. Free gas.
Yeah. For a while.
For a while.
Monday before election
Yeah.
day, is that when you update the poll books? Period?
So from the early voting period,
That's in real time.
that's uploading to the qualified voter file in real time. That's a
Yep.
special, poll book that we use. Then at 4 PM on Monday, and that's why any clerk's office will say, stop. Everything stops at 4 PM on Monday statewide. No more absentee ballots, no more
Receiving.
no more receiving ballots. We put a pause. And so our ballot box is filling up and filling up, but we're not checking them in after 4 PM on Monday, because we are very quickly getting everything organized so that we can print out the precinct list for the next day and download the software and the voter list with all of the associated details for the morning. So at 5:30 AM, when the care people stop by here to get their stuff, it's all current as of Monday at 4 PM. So then all day Tuesday, what the clerk's office and our chair people are responsible for is keeping that information up to date. Our AD count boards will deliver the first batch based on what came in Monday at 4 PM. That's not required, but we just do it that way to keep ourselves organized.
We know exactly how many ballots we're delivering to the AD count board every,
We know which ballots.
yeah,
We know
exactly
whose
whose ballots, yeah.
And this is like the process statewide, what you
Yeah.
would say in every,
Yeah.
or
It
every
is.
Township or.
It is. The variation that you'll see is in what method clerks use to count AD ballots. So, when we had fewer AD ballots, and I remember, when Nancy was clerk and I was deputy, we even did this for one. There used to be a small number of AD ballots in small places where you count them at the precincts after the polls close. They don't have AD count boards. Now with the volume, we use AV count boards, but it's also, I think, just got some better. We just have more control over the chain of custody by using AV count boards.
Just calling them. At the precinct.
Yeah, and you've got people who are kind of specially trained.
Yes. It was always weird having the AV ballots out there in the precincts and you're opening them up and laying them out and
Yeah, it just, so a small jurisdiction in Michigan would still do that.
yeah, they can still do that.
But and then the other option we have is the pre-process. We don't exercise that option, and certainly any jurisdiction who does have to notice that they're gonna start pre-processing and when they're gonna start pre-processing.
They're actually going through and tabulating.
Can they tabulate them?
They can start tabulating them at the end of early voting.
Okay.
So they can start.
That makes,
Yeah,
that would make
makes
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
because someone could still come in to early vote.
Yeah, so they can, start tabulating, because early voting goes from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you could start tabulating the ballots on Monday, the day before the election. So for big places, they could do 2 full days of Monday and Tuesday to tabulate.
Now, if somebody early votes and dies, there's no way to pull their ballot.
Oh.
Because it's a secret,
Right.
it's a secret ballot. You've
Uh-huh.
taken the tab off
It's been cast.
and it's in there and,
Okay.
yeah, so there's no way to pull their ballot out. So if you're gonna pass away. Early vote. Yes.
Live through election.
Yeah.
So, yes.
It seems weird, but there's no way you could go through there and find their ballot.
Yeah.
Wheel Jimmy Carter. and-
Early vote, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, once the ballot is cast, the voter has cast their ballot. So it does make sense, right? I mean, it's,
Yeah, yeah.
That really tells you their secret.
I mean, that
backings
it's
right there.
actually voting, you're
Yeah.
actually voting before election day.
Uh-huh.
It's different than an
Then
absentee
an
ballot.
absentee.
Yep.
Okay.
You cast your vote.
Yep,
I like the early voting.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's been going well.
It's exhausting.
Percentage
I think.
people Early vote, you know.
People like
versus-
it though.
I'm, you know.
People will really leave here very happy.
I'm so happy, like with all the reforms, like our lines at polling places are not bad. They're never bad anymore.
Yeah.
We'll have some lines this election, but what we're finding with early voting is it's pulling away from people who were gonna absentee vote.
Absentee.
Yeah.
Because our office is like humming, and as we get closer to the election, we'll get really busy at the clerk's office, like it's.
Yes.
But we'll have like lots
Okay.
of people coming in for.
So now we're gonna
absentee
close the
ballots.
polls.
What's so nice about early voting is I can say, hey, actually you can just walk over here and vote right now.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go through the process of issuing the absentee ballot. There's no line and they're done. So it's more efficient
Yeah.
and we'll have fewer absentee ballots.
To count a blue
Some
button.
people, I don't know how
Yep.
many people it's pulling from election day voting to early
Yeah.
voting. But it's definitely pulling people from absentee voting to early voting. And that's part of why I wanted to, and I'm glad the board approved Scio Township being an early voting site, was I wanted it to be the most convenient for my.
So is
You
it?
had an option to do that? I thought it
Yeah.
was required by, no, you could have.
The Constitution requires that every jurisdiction provide at least
9
9 days of early voting, up to 30 days of early voting. How you do it is up to you. I could go it alone. Ipsy Township has gone alone. City of Ann Arbor's gone alone. But most of us decided with, the very good county clerk that we have, that we would do a countywide, and so we can share resources, because it's, of course, there's a lot of expense
Right.
Yeah.
to running a polling place for 9 days, particularly when it's a trickle and not a flow.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna close the polls. Yes, close the polls.
So the early
Yeah.
voting site at the county, they're doing their own public accuracy
Put this
test,
one in.
and they'll have their own receiving
No.
board.
Oh, yeah.
and
that's
their
it.
election day,
closing
yeah.
on election day. Did you all observe that last election?
We did not because there was a mix up with the date.
Oh, okay.
So they had already finished
Yeah.
when we showed up the next morning. Yep.
That's not pulling those out, wait.
Oh, okay, so now we're
We can-
closing polls,
Closing the polls.
and the reason why it's so important to have the date and time right on these. You cannot open the polls on the, like, before election day. And you cannot close the polls. Well, no, it's just opening the polls. You can't open the polls if it's not time to actually open the polls.
So you set a different time and date for this test.
This one that's at the, this one is at the right date and time. On testing, we don't have to change it. On the 8th, when we tested for 80 county boards, we had to take the date back to 8 o'clock close of polls. And it has something to do with early voting. You would not be able to get it to close out unless it said 8 o'clock. So then we had to remember too, when the testing was done, revert it back to the correct time.
So then that that tape would have been hidden all day, okay?
Yeah.
So this part is also all public, right? At this point, this would still all be sealed. When this would be open, the seal would be cut, the number recorded, a Democrat and Republican would be doing what Newton is doing together to safely put them into ballot containers.
Kind of like a backup record for the.
Yeah, and so when we get randomly selected by the Secretary of State to do hand recounts, and we did 2022. Yeah, and we stood in this room with the county and we hand counted an entire precinct, the results,
How long that?
and we were perfect.
Yeah.
It was great, like it was.
It's connecting to the
Absolutely.
county to transmit results now after our first result tape.
It was maybe 6.
They may not have their station up. They put their station up and down.
And that wasn't.
So
that
it may
many
not go
people, so,
through.
yeah.
When we're testing, they bring
They
the
just
station up.
randomly pick
They do take the
precincts
station
and
down during the day of
counties.
election day.
And
And then
that's
near
long been
closing, they'll
part of
bring
the law.
it back
At
up.
the end of the.
Yeah, so it-
Never around.
So it transmits the results
Hand
through the
recount. So
modem.
we do that regularly.
We transmit results through the tape. We have results in the V drive and we have the ballots. So it's pretty hard to flip the votes.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
When Georgia recently, when election officials said
It's
they
a
wanted
nightmare.
to do
To
an
hand
entire state
No,
hand.
that
hand
is
re-
just
hand
complete
count.
election disruption.
Yeah,
And the only purpose of that is to delay
Yeah.
any, and also it's so irresponsible. I think it's almost criminal. I mean, to like throw that much in the way of a reasonable custody and control of the ballots.
It is, it's a bad addition to the chain of custody of the
It's-
ballots, because you have now more hands
Touching every
touching
ballot.
the ballots.
They're gonna add more inaccuracies. Hand counting is less accurate
accurate.
than these
Yes.
machines are, okay?
Did
And
anyone
that's
do the
proven.
hand count they did at the county a couple years ago? We had to do a hand recount. My brain just went to
No.
look right away.
At
You're
some
working
point.
with a partner, there's no way you get accurate results as you do with this.
Right,
Yeah.
and
And
this,
they sent.
this backwards idea that we just don't
and
trust
transmitted the
technology,
Results,
it's,
we're gonna cancel these print reports. On election night, they need three more reports. This one has to stay to the 0. It has to be attached to 0 and then the first tally tape.
to show that there's been no tampering through the day.
And
the
then
same
afterwards, we're
people
gonna
sign
cut it out.
beginning,
Hold up to the
It's
top.
signed in, which is why we ask people to do these extraordinarily long shifts.
Mhm.
that was another
Now-
thing very cool about Chavs in 2000. That I had never heard before, and that is that, part of the problem was that they didn't. Where they put the people in the ballot.
You wanna
and
do
they
this
had
part or
punch,
read?
And they had. to
Well, that's up to
clean
you.
it out.
Let me get all this stuff off.
Or the catches, the little punched out pieces
That's
of
why they
paper,
were.
they hadn't cleaned them out.
Yeah.
So they were so full that.
I'm gonna do it in red.
The.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab the ballot, it didn't go all the way through.
That's why it didn't. go
That's why
through.
you had those clean tabs.
Yeah,
I never looked at it before.
yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know why.
Wait a
I
second,
never
I
knew
have
why.
to
it
do-
punched all the way
I have
through,
to-
but that makes sense.
Right.
Page 2 and 2.
So these then,
Right?
so it's
I
print,
can't
print,
remember.
print. There's a lot of talk about
Two.
modem.
This is the page.
So I wanna be clear on
and
electric.
Page 2.
Yeah,
These two
It's the
and this
internet.
two, right? Yeah.
At the end of the night, when polls are closed and only when they're closed, right? There's no
I gotta get my
more
glasses.
Then,
They're right
you're
there.
done.
They're right there.
Oh, the-
And that's when the modem is live and it transmits the results directly to the county. The county then pops it up on their
then I've got
unofficial
16.
election returns. So as the election returns are coming in,
Correct. 10,
you're getting
12,
them directly from
Yes,
the
tax base
tabulators
10.
around the state.
Green Party.
That's what those are. They're not getting, you know, they're coming direct from the tabulators to the news.
Get posted. So is it a phone modem? Is it a
Harris,
phone line?
Egan.
Like the old days with
It
the
is.
cups, right? They used to have to hook on your,
So
it
yeah,
goes back a few years. huh?
Yeah. it's an old fashioned modem. And so, and they only open it up after polls are closed and these work only after polls are closed. So it's not, and it's one way.
Right,
Nothing is
six.
transmitting
Going
back. In fact,
Yeah.
I also want to say,
write-ins two.
it doesn't matter if they don't work at the end of the night. It delays the public knowing the results. It doesn't delay the tallying of the results.
Jamestown 10.
After these all go to the
Douglas
receiving
Marsh
board,
8,
which takes many hours, then at the end of the night, about whenever that is in the middle of the morning,
18.
I'll take
Heather,
everything down to the
14,
county,
Bill,
including the flash drives that are in here that have the data.
write-ins
And that's
two.
sort of the official submission, and then they triple check everything
Teresa Cedric,
too,
Ed-
before it goes to the canvassers.
So the vote gets
48, okay,
certified
so
based
the-
Oh, yeah, sorry,
on
yeah,
the
47.
flash drive,
Yeah.
not based on-
47,
Yeah.
you're doing?
Yeah,
Okay.
the votes,
Yeah.
the
Very
results
10,
get transmitted by the clerk to the county board of canvassers via the flash drive. Then
Jennifer
the
10,
canvassers will
Ryan
take
7,
a few
Eric
days
4,
to
write-ins 1.
honor some of the
State
additional
Board of
laws we have, up to
Education,
6 more days
Theodore
for
24, Adam 22,
overseas,
Tom
citizens
military,
and
yeah.
military ballots come in, as well as 3 additional days for any absentee voter to secure their signature.
Then
So,
University
then
of Michigan.
All the clerks, we all run them down
Illich,
by that,
22,
Monday, Tuesday,
Myers,
and then
18,
that's why the Board of
Ron
Canvassers doesn't meet
16,
immediately, because they're waiting for those
50,
returns.
Donna,
So they'll take our poll books and then they'll start going through, there's a stack of
Trustee
envelopes
Newman and
and
a
a
few
full
22 for
with
Fair.
everything we've talked about,
Store
meticulously
20,
documented.
Mike
Every
Brown,
signature,
18,
every seal number,
Julie Madej,
everything,
16,
and then they
Ron
go
Baker,
through their
14,
own kind of.
Janet
review,
Sanger,
Make sure it
12,
all adds up.
Alexander 10,
And that, after
John
that
Allen,
process is done, then they will
8,
certify
write-ins 4,
the county.
Wayne State
So
University.
if there was a race,
20 for
any of the
Russia.
races on the ballot
Gaffney.
that came down to
18,
1 or 2
Michael,
votes,
16,
which
Sonny,
could happen,
14, Barry,
then
12,
these sort of
William,
straggling
10,
votes,
Sammy,
either from
Suzanne,
cured
6,
signatures,
Kathleen, 4,
absentee ballots,
write-ins
or
4.
overseas or whatever,
Prosecuting
Yeah.
attorney,
could tip them,
Eli,
could tip the
18,
election.
write-ins
So
2.
one of the many things
Sheriff, Alicia, 18,
worried about.
write-ins 2.
or thought
Local
about
registrar
is,
of,
I think,
deeds,
I'm not worried
18,
about it, I'm just
Vermont,
anticipating could
Samantha,
happen in a
16,
very, very
write-ins
close
2.
race.
Treasurer,
May or may not
Letitia,
be coming.
18.
Um,
14, write-ins
is
2.
that
That's a yawn.
campaigns could,
Commissioner.
let's say it's not clear at the end of the night, then I think campaigns are gonna, to all the local clerks, get the information of who the outstanding military and overseas
Okay. Veteran.
voters are,
18.
and all of the voters.
Hold on.
signatures, And that'll be a very small, relatively small group
Okay.
of voters for each position,
Lisa.
With,
Loveland,
lobbying.
write-ins 2. Okay,
right?
first district,
Wow.
Jason.
Now, the
18.
overseas, it would,
Phyllis,
the overseas,
Write-ins
I mean,
2.
they actually, that may
Supervisor.
not work because they,
18
I don't know if they
Perry.
can actually change, they wouldn't change their vote.
2
So they
for
couldn't change their vote because
write-ins.
people would have voted by then, it's just a
Yeah,
matter of
they're
getting
voting
it.
against it, right?
Yeah, but it could
Treasurer,
be advocacy to
Ryan,
get it in.
18, write-ins 2. Trustee Kathleen, 24, Judy.
That could be
22,
good.
Kathleen, 20.
But I think
John,
what they've done in
18,
Georgia is
Write-ins 8.
criminal. I mean, it's just
Justice, Fink,
horrifying.
6, Kimberly,
It's-
4,
it's
write-ins 2.
so obviously,
Supreme Court.
it's not just impractical, it's
Hiram,
improbable
6,
that they would ever
4,
produce,
2.
that they could
Court of
produce
Appeals, 3rd
a
district,
reliable count is what they're saying they're gonna do.
6,
To do
Christopher,
hand counts
4,
at
write-ins
the
4.
precinct level
22nd district, Carol, 4.
a disaster.
write-ins
You
2.
And then you'll have. a
22nd
hand
district,
count that won't necessarily
Gina,
match the.
6,
cabinet
I
Jeff,
got
figure.
most of them.
write-ins
And then
2.
all of a sudden you
And-
have all this uproar about.
Well, and
It
then,
opens the
and then
door.
there-
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, the scary part.
39th
and okay,
district,
well, was there a
Vote
lost
for
ballot?
Cedric
Was it
Simpson.
lost
write-ins
before we
2.
all pour into
And then
this and
City of
started
Ann
hand
Arbor,
counting?
Megan, 12,
Or was it
Vanessa,
after?
10, Eric.
I mean, that will go on.
Those
for
folks, it's out of
days.
order.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
That
10.
is
Yeah, that's
days.
10 for Megan, Ernesto 10,
But
Eric
it's
8,
the electoral
Dawn.
panel
Right,
is
if it
really
doesn't-
close and
yeah.
in one
Leslie,
state could tip it,
4.
Georgia could
Yes.
tip it,
Linda
Yeah.
Wilkes,
then that could
14.
tip the election.
Yes.
So hopefully it
writing
won't
six.
down to that.
Yes.
And now
I know.
the City of
I-
Ann Arbor.
Polls are pretty pretty tight.
Eastern,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the polls were
Write-ins
so
2.
far off last time. That's what I'm
And then
banking
Washington,
on.
Alex, Alex,
So, I mean, in Michigan, I'm very
Diana,
grateful. We really do have good laws. Another good law that
Alex
is
is,
Okay, it's out of order.
procedure that came into
Alex
effect
is
last year.
4.
yeah,
Is
Diana is
able
8,
to
Yeah.
become
Eileen.
eligible to vote
6.
after completing their
writing
conviction
4.
or
Yep.
sentence. Their
Good
voting
library.
rights are
Lisa,
automatically
10.
reinstated, which is excellent. because not all states do that.
So they don't have to go and apply.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And that's pretty much in line
And
with,
then what should the
sort of
proposal?
the
4
same
for
kind of.
yes, 2
automatic
for no.
voting we have.
Yeah.
So apply for a
Yes,
driver's
for
license or have a
2,
transaction
and
with the
no,
Secretary of
2.
State. You're automatically
Proposal
registered to vote
three, yes,
unless you opt
no,
out.
or
Not that effective.
Or two.
two.
Sets of,
Oh,
Four
wait,
two, four two, four two,
voting.
Yeah, 14, 14, 14.
Yeah.
four two.
Yeah, people have been
Two,
talking
all of
about
them.
that.
Yes.
Works.
I don't know.
Perfect.
I don't know, actually. I doubt it. I don't know.
So many states were in Canada. I didn't expect.
I don't know how much of their town has early voting.
It does.
Okay.
I
The
lived
tape
there.
matches
I would
the
always-
test deck perfectly.
Oh, let's talk through this. Oh,
Yeah.
this is the.
You
this
were
is-
chatting away over
I'm
there.
so sorry. I'm so bad. Get us back on track. So take a look here. This is, the whole purpose of doing the public accuracy test is that you all can see that we had the predetermined results on that spreadsheet that we expected.
Ah, okay.
Okay, that's what we
Okay.
expected based on all of those ballots, okay, what each little box that was filled in.
This tells you there's 55 ballots, okay?
Wrong with each of them.
So it takes 55 ballots and then it would tell you if we were marking the test deck ourselves, then we would take ballot number 1 and it would be blank ballots,
Okay.
stray marks, we always do those first, blank ballot. Then it starts to tell you how to mark each number ballot, okay? Then it totals each category down here.
Okay.
And there's 4 pages. So this is like the first half of the ballot, second half of the ballot. This is the split. This is 347. 55 ballots telling you how to mark it. So what we do is we take the totals and we have to add them together. So for the Democratic Party, there is a total of 16. So we take the 2 test decks and add them
Okay.
together, 8 and 8 is 16, so
Okay.
it's correct. And we just go right across, checking all the numbers. So they all checked out. We have to add the 2 test decks together. But it all checked out, so we know that that is tabulating what it's supposed
Correctly,
to
okay.
and what it's not supposed to. And they give,
Yeah.
and they give like 8 to one party, 7 votes to one, 6, 5. They give a
So it's
nice
not-
differentiation, so you don't just see 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 across. You see 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So you can look that over if you want,
Okay.
or if you need any help understanding it.
And
But
we
it, but
did-
it matched up with what was.
It matched up, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we
I know-
checked it and
One
Yeah.
test didn't match up for us on one, but we have to take out 3 ballots from the pre-made test deck and insert 3 ballots of our own and mark it the same. And Newtown was just starting with me and we forgot to insert those ballots.
Yeah.
So it came off wrong, but we were able to look and see what, right away, it was like what party it was. So we look at the test deck and you can see what number ballots, you know, you can
Mhm.
find out, you kind of like sleuth it through. And you can say, I think it's ballot number 7 that is wrong. So we went and looked and we were like, oh, it wasn't even in the batch. So,
Yeah.
so we had to clear the ballots and do it all again and it came out right.
And then what we do is we certify after testing. So we have 10 tabulators that we're planning to use on election day. And then we have 1 backup preliminary tested, just in case, ready for whatever, problems. And then we have members of the election commission, signed and certified here. You'll see each of the tabulators assigned. And do you have the one for the AV count board too?
Look on the back.
Boom. For the AV count board and then for the VATs as well. So we have 15 machines that have been tested.
And there's serial numbers tracked.
Serial numbers to the actual machine, the memory device seal that matches to this, so that you know that this isn't, after it's tested, this is on until through election day. Okay? So proof it's not been tampered with. And then, Will, unless you have any questions, would you be willing to, sign is the member of the election commission.
And then it's 10, 24. And we're gonna reseal it with a new number.
So same here.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then we also, of all the things we retained for various periods of time, the test decks, the charts and the proof that it's been certified.
This gets all sealed up. It stays under,
Put all
it stays
together.
under seal.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
so if
that's the
anybody ever
same
had a
too?
question, no,
Okay,
no,
that's enough.
that's okay,
All right.
yeah. Yep,
I have a sticker related question.
yes,
So there was this article in the New York Times.
yes,
About that sticker contest in the schools. and
we
they
have
were not-
some.
We have some.
So you ordered them or were you just allotted?
We were allotted some, yes,
This is the roll that's out on the,
yes, it's very
Love
cute.
'em.
yep,
So
yep.
that's the
People are loving
werewolf,
'em,
I
yeah.
guess, but you also got some of the others, like the fish and the cat.
Yes, we have that
So
cat.
yes,
Yeah, you gotta check them out.
Yeah.
They're-
You have the cat. I would come early voting on the first day, but I live in Ann Arbor, so I
right,
can't.
right. We have a limited supply, so I'd say get it now.
Is it the I
Yeah.
voted? I remember seeing.
I don't know if they're
There's a
going to the
variety
first.
of different I
thing.
voted stickers.
Okay,
Yes.
I remember
Yeah,
seeing the
yes.
pictures, but.
Do you want me to go get a roll? I'll go get a
Yeah,
roll.
yeah, thanks, Barb.
So our chief deputy city clerk, he told us they have not enough werewolf stickers.
Yeah,
For all the voters, so they will hand them out on Halloween.
okay.
At the early voting sites.
That's a
So,
good
yeah.
idea, right?
Good for them. I am like, as soon as we got those, I thought, oh no. Because there's, 6 or 8 different versions and not enough of any of them.
Yeah.
And,
Rather than giving you one kind, right? Everything the
right,
same.
because I think so much about elections is about doing the exact same thing for
For
every single
everybody.
voter. And, I don't want to have to tell anybody no. You
Yeah.
don't have any more
Don't get
fish
the sticker.
stickers,
Really.
especially when I have other things to worry about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Besides
Yeah.
the fish sticker, which is not required.
Do we have more to do as the election? commission?
Oh, no, I think we are all set here with the test done.
Yeah.
And so is there a motion to adjourn?
I so moved.
I like this one.
Agree. Thank you, Will.
Yeah.
I voted. They're there, you can look at them.
Wow, yes.
I liked it, this one too.
Yes,
I voted yay.
yeah.
Where's the werewolf one?
Some of them are hard to.
Is
That's
this
the
where?
yes,
But
that's
like-
the
There's the
werewolf.
one.
Oh,
And it's
actually, I
amazing.
forgot public comment. Any members of the public want to say anything? Please raise your Zoom hand. Thank you, Marcia, Corrine, and Pam for
I think
joining.
these pretty cool
Oh, I
too.
like that.
Yeah.
Bye.
I love the kitty, so I